It's been a cozy relationship from the beginning.
I will not let you down. You will be very, very impressed, I hope. And I think we'll be speaking a lot. But
Donald Trump and Alex Jones, the conservative conspiracy theorist and operator of the website INFOWAR, which seems to be a place where Trump gets a lot of his information. Jones can take credit for spearheading some of the most outrageous theories on the internet, from claims that 9/11 was a government conspiracy to the Sandy Hook shooting being faked. Jones' theories reach tens of millions each month and are now often echoed by the next president of the United States.
The controlled corporate fake press, after losing the election 3 weeks ago, has only massively intensified their deception campaign against the American people. They are now censoring Infowars.com, drudgereport.com out of major libraries, out of Wi-Fi being provided across the country and the world. They're putting out fake news lists, and then those sites are being delisted. Breitbart had its app just deleted out of the iTunes store. We've had things like that done to us as well. This is unprecedented what's taking place. Now, I started getting calls yesterday afternoon when I was driving home at about 6 with people saying, yeah, they just flashed it up on TV, coming up, the man that Donald Trump gets his info from, and they said it said under it, KKK leader in the promos. But by the time the show actually came on, they weren't showing the KKK leader garbage. But here's why this is important. It's done not subliminally, but in plain view. So I call it kind of quasi-subliminal. It's just total yellow journalism on multiple levels. It says former KKK leader endorses Stephen Bannon, and then it's under me, under Alex Jones, under my face from a video about a completely separate subject, and then they pop up the name Alex Jones under it. So if you're a TV viewer, we're showing you that right now. So this is how they deceive. This is how they manipulate. This is how stupid they think their readers, their viewers are. I mean, this is unprecedented. The one other time I saw them do something like this was Fox, and it was Bill O'Reilly talking about sexual predators online, and then cut to a video of me yelling about corrupt government. Had nothing to do with it, with my face turning red.
You know what it's like to go to sleep every night knowing you work for a bunch of psychotic killers and you bastards are probably going to end up killing me one day?
Hate speech. Now Facebook is apologizing for allowing it worldwide. But can anything be done to stop the hatred, which is directly linked into the IRS Tea Party scandal? Facebook having a terrible problem with that, and recently hatred against women has caused a major controversy. Postings have encouraged violence, rape, other atrocities against women. Hate speech is not a difficult thing to identify. It's based on personal attacks designed to injure. That's hate speech, and Facebook knows it.
So it's just say the word child molester and show somebody's face, or say the word KKK and show somebody's face. It is the lowest level of just baseless disinfo. And again, I say it's almost subliminal because you're just there watching the news and you see Alex Jones's face, and then it says KKK leader, and then it says Alex Jones promoting something that's coming up. It's just all done to mix it together and to deceive people in a massive way. Now, I've got to be honest with the viewers and listeners. I've kind of gotten punch drunk to this. I am so accustomed to just mega level deception by the fake news media, who dubs us fake media, total inversion of reality, that I've just gotten, I don't even pay attention to it very often. When I say hundreds of articles a day attacking me by name, it's hundreds. Now, 30 years ago, that would destroy somebody, but it only empowers us, and therein lies the delusion of these people. All the thinking people of every race, color, and creed now understand this media is foreign-owned, globalist-run, out to get us. They see the Pope lecturing us and telling us what we should do, and the communist Chinese and the Saudi Arabians and everybody else, and they see through it. But truly, the reason they're trying to derail what Trump is doing and calling it racist and demonizing it is because it will end their global system. If America is allowed to operate outside of globalism and is prosperous, that American system will outcompete it. And if you go back to the robber barons 100 years ago, they all wrote news articles in Europe, in England, and in the US admitting that they couldn't compete with the American system because it wasn't centralized. It wasn't all based on small combines, oligopolies, and monopolies. So Trump's fight is the old fight. It's the American fight. That's why it's so powerful. It's not just some ideology he went and made up somewhere.
Take President Obama's birth.
Trump comes along and said, birth certificate. He gave a birth certificate. Whether or not that was a real certificate, because a lot of people question it, I certainly question it.
Obama as the leader of ISIS.
ISIS is honoring President Obama. He is the founder of ISIS.
Questioning the death of Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia.
They say they found a pillow on his face, which is a pretty unusual place to find a pillow.
And Ted Cruz's father's role in the death of John F. Kennedy.
His father was with Lee Harvey Oswald prior to Oswald being, shot.
So when the media sits there at Reddit or the New York Times and says, what is globalism? Does it exist? No. It's like telling a child that A, B, C, D, E, F, G doesn't exist. It's like saying that George Washington didn't exist. But that's the level of deception and just waging war on reality that they're involved in, because they are at war with reality, because what they're selling, authoritarianism, as some neoliberal, wonderful cosmology, is so ridiculous, no one wants to buy it. Freedom and free association is like the greatest gourmet smorgasbord cornucopia selection the world could ever imagine, compared to standing in line for 2 or 3 days to get a couple sausages and potatoes. And again, it wasn't that communist systems couldn't produce. They didn't want to produce. They used the limited production and the artificial scarcity they create to control people, and they write textbooks on it. And that's why globalism is so evil. It is a worldwide system of austerity and being poor, and the people being ignorant, and people being played off against each other. So the fact that they are upping their game 24/7 attacking Stephen Bannon and yours truly, Alex Jones, tells you something. They know Stephen Bannon is a patriot and an anti-globalist and wants to launch a plan to make even the poorest people wealthy in comparison to other nations. He's openly said that. That is their plan. Carrier air conditioning's already coming back. Ford's already coming back. Apple says they may come back before he's even in office. And they're attacking yours truly, because if they can get Trump to cut away from his base, it's not just crippling Trump, it will cut him off from Americana, which they're trying to dub as racist and evil, for us to have level playing fields and controlled borders and basic sovereignty. So Trump is purposely invoking nationalism and red meat stuff like don't burn the American flag to force the left to then begin defending free speech, something they've actually been attacking, something they're coming out and bulldozing. They want to yell about free speech, burning the flag all day, and I agree, you have a right to do it, even though I don't like it. But they're the ones banning stuff off Facebook, off Twitter, the Apple purges. And some people say, oh, that's Apple's company, they can. No, they approve your app, it goes through the deal, then they kick you off. 3 times we had Obama deception paid for by third-party companies, encoded and loaded and accepted, and then they would delete it 1 day after. And they go, oh, it's a mistake, Apple wants the $5,000 again. And we'd encode it again and put it through. I had Google refuse to sell in Google Store, and they shut our store down. That was an article happened a few years ago, I guess 7 years ago now. And it just banned us and said, this is a racist film. We are not allowing you to sell it or have an Apple or a Google Store. So this is what they're doing, folks. This is serious censorship, and they're throwing it in everybody's face while saying they're, quote, the liberals. They're doing this because they're desperate. They're doing this because the ideas that I promote and that Stephen Bannon and others promote is poison to these people and will bring their system down. So for the new viewers and new listeners, this is not my opinion. The things we're talking about here are admitted by the enemy, by the globalists in their own publications and documents. And once we identify the globalist and their globalist system and get the public to actually go read and research what's really happening, it's game over for them. So some family and others say, how am I taking it with these new levels of deception? I'm taking it fine. It means I'm having an effect. It means the great crew at INFOWARS is having an effect. It means the listeners of this radio show and TV show are spreading the word and taking action. But do not take any of this for granted. They are trying to shut us down, and they can shut down Breitbart or Drudge or INFOWARS. If they can get any one of those, they set the precedent to take everything else out. And they were on the verge. They handed over the internet to the UN and a multinational consortium. They were about to get 5 Supreme Court justices, at least 4. They were imploding everything. The borders are already been completely lowered. The drones were turned off. They were already, telling us that, jihadis were going to be put in every town, every city. They're that close to finishing their operation. Let's just pray Trump's for real, because in a modern sense, he is our best and only hope for rectifying this in a peaceful manner. Because let me tell you something, the globalists are not going to be peaceful next phase. They're not going to coexist with us. They cannot coexist with a free market, open, true liberal society.
Jones posted this video entitled An Emergency Message to Donald Trump during the campaign.
I am going to ask you to seriously think about making the issue of Hillary's election fraud in the primaries one of the central issues to defeating her in November.
Trump had this to say a day later.
I'm afraid the election's going to be rigged, I have to be honest, because I think my side was rigged.
And in the wake of the election, Jones pushing a theory that despite the vote totals, Trump actually won the popular vote.
Millions of illegals voting, at least 5 states being stolen for Hillary. We're talking 5, 6, 7, 8 million people more voting for Trump, if you look at the evidence, in the popular vote than did.
And Trump tweeting just 4 days later, quote, in addition to winning the Electoral College in a landslide, I won the popular vote if you deduct the millions of people who voted illegally.
I'll tell you, it is surreal to talk about issues here on air and then word for word hear Trump say it 2 days later.
And I'm not just calling ourselves liberal because that takes it away from them. Liberalism, if you studied it 200 years ago, is antithetical to modern liberalism. It is the complete 180 opposite. Liberalism means do what you want as long as you don't hurt somebody else, but I can live the way I want. Don't come force me to live the way you say I should. Look at political correctness. Look at all this garbage. Liberalism means lower taxes, private property rights, religious freedoms, or freedom to not have religion. See, it's the opposite. Everything they're pushing is hajibs on TV with news anchors, but you can't wear a cross. It's all about henpecking and getting us in line to just accept incredible outrages. And that's why the Republican and Democratic establishments are panicking and freaking out. But I've got to say, CNN discredits itself with crap like this, and it really, really shows how their entire system is based around race baiting, and it really is a despicable, despicable news organization. And quite frankly, I don't even give them interviews when they ask for interview requests, because they always just talk to me for like 5 minutes and use a short clip to act like they were journalists and act like they got my response. But they don't even call now to try to get a response whenever they take what we say out of context or twist things, because these are not journalists, folks. They know they're paid mercenaries. They know they're paid hacks, and they know good and damn well they're trying to basically undermine this country. They've conquered us. That's why they're so arrogant. And people have to understand that if you're under their mind control, under their spell, come out of it, folks. They are predators. They are bad news. They did back the Arab Spring. They did back starting wars with Russia. These are very bad people. And we've got to bring nationalism back in a big way, folks. It's how we can organize against globalism, because at least a nation has a chance for the people to run it and to fix it. Under globalism, it's a worldwide system. You can't get out of it unless nations begin to pull out of it, and that's happening. So a modern war is taking place right now of the nation state and individuals and self-determination against the modern royalty. The true definition of globalism is third wave corporate colonialism establishing a planetary, above the law corporate dictatorship. I mean, that's what it is. And so no one should want to live under that, and there's no arguments that you can push for that. But now their new argument is we're going to, quote, be liberal world government. They actually say that in The Economist, and we're going to enforce racial equity worldwide. That means playing people off against each other and using third world populations against the West. I mean, this is dastardly, This is dirty, and this is how the corporations play, who are exploiting everybody. We've got to be smart enough to come together, turn on the real renaissance, basically terraform the planet for clean, renewable technocracy for the people, to actually decentralize power instead of a technocracy that's based on total surveillance and dehumanization. We've got to have a purpose-based economy, purpose-based world. We've got to launch space colonies, undersea colonies. We've got to trailblaze and make our heroes again, people on the very cutting edge, and celebrate our humanity and not give it up like the eugenicist-based technocrats are now pushing. I'm Alex Jones signing off for INFOWARS.com. I'm going to go ahead and hand the baton back to David Knight in the full broadcast he's got lined up today, and I'll be back later with a special report. Turkey has declared war on Syria. Does this mean that World War III is about to erupt? That's INFOWARS.com. And even the London Telegraph says that most experts agree this could trigger the next Third World War because when Turkey declares war against Syria, Syria is allied with Russia. That means a NATO nation has now declared war on Russia. That's what this really means. Stay with us.
Look, I'm not going to sit here and say, see, I told you so, that communist Chinese-style net censorship was coming to the web, because it's already here. It's being announced. The way you keep the internet open and free is you get involved more than ever. Go to InfoWars.com/app. A new battleship in the fight. InfoWars Live, available right now. We're looking for a crew to man it. You going to sit down and play games and be a trendy? Or are you going to be part of history? Don't sit by and let the internet and free speech be stolen from you. Take action. You think our information's hardcore? You think our focus is brutal? Try our nutraceuticals. Try our supplements. We've taken Brain Force and made it Brain Force Plus. Now with 20% more in the bottle and an even more hardcore formula. You owe it to yourself to get these products. They really have worked for myself, my family. They have 5-star reviews by the thousands. Secure your Brain Force Plus today at InfoWarsLife.com. Now 20% stronger. Again, InfoWarsLife.com.